This is The Scoop for Wednesday.
I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines. A new report shows Florida has one of the highest rates of human trafficking in the country. WMNF's Chris Young tells us about the eye-opening statistics from the University of South Florida report.
The 2024 state report on human trafficking estimates that more than 500,000 people were exploited in labor trafficking and 200,000 in sex trafficking within the state in the last year. Minors were estimated to make up half of the population being sex trafficked, and 1/4 of those involved in labor trafficking. Dr. Shelley Wagers is the Associate Director of the University of South Florida Trafficking in Persons Risk to Resilience Lab. She says Florida's large tourism, hospitality, and construction industries tend to have high amounts of labor exploitation.
But let's always remember, those numbers are people. You know, we are talking about people here, right? And not forget that. Let's not forget it's a very human crime.
Wagers predicts trafficking numbers will only rise as government funding targeting minority and LGBTQ support services dries up. But she hopes this inspires lawmakers to address gaps that make people particularly vulnerable to trafficking, like financial insecurity and child neglect. Chris Young, WMNF News.
Senate Republicans have advanced President Donald Trump's request to cancel some $9 billion in previously approved spending. They overcame concerns from some lawmakers about what rescissions could mean for impoverished people around the globe and for local public radio and television stations in their home states. The Senate vote was 50-50, with Vice President J.D. Vance breaking the tie. Proponents described the bill as a first step in putting the nation's fiscal house in order. Democrats questioned their intent, given that Republicans just passed a major tax and spending cut bill that is expected to increase the federal deficits by an estimated $3.4 trillion over the coming decade. Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said that tens of millions of Americans rely on public radio and television stations for local news, weather alerts, and educational programs. He warned that many could lose access to that information because of the rescissions. Miami Republican Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar is getting back behind her plan to shield undocumented immigrants from deportation by re-proposing a bill that would have migrants pay restitution to legally remain in the U.S. It's called the Dignity Act of 2025. Here's Salazar in an interview earlier yesterday on Fox and Friends.
They are illegals or undocumented, but they have been here for more than 5 years, contributing to the economy. Those people, someone gave them a job, and they are needed because we need hands in order to continue being the #1 economy in the world.
Salazar announced the proposed legislation at a recent press conference in Washington, D.C. She introduced a similar bill by the same name in 2023, though it never made it to the House floor.
Just bring them out of the shadows, make them pay a fine for 7 years. That is billions of dollars to the Treasury.
Though Representative Salazar maintains that President Trump has, quote, secured the border, she criticized the Trump administration for not adhering to due process. Citing significant concerns about environmental degradation and threats to traditional and religious ceremonies, members of the Miccosukee Tribe are trying to join a lawsuit challenging an immigrant detention center in the Everglades. The facility, dubbed Alligator Alcatraz by Governor Ron DeSantis and other Republican leaders, neighbors 10 villages that are home to the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida and the Big Cypress National Preserve, including a village 1,000 feet away from one of the detention center's boundaries, as well as areas where tribal members work and attend school. Lawyers for the tribe echoed legal arguments by Friends of the Everglades and the Center for Biological Diversity, which filed the lawsuit alleging that officials failed to comply with the federal law requiring that an environmental impact study be performed before developing the facility. But Governor Ron DeSantis has disputed the impact, pointing to the decades-old airport, which is used for flight training. The Miccosukee's motion argued that the number of occupants at the facility will, at a minimum, double the residential density in the area, which is accessible by a 2-lane highway known as the Tamiami Trail, which stretches across the state. Attorneys for the DeSantis administration have argued in the lawsuit that the National Environmental Policy Act, the federal law that requires evaluating potential environmental impacts before projects affecting sensitive areas can move forward, does not apply to the Everglades facility because it's being operated by the state. Partly cloudy skies and possible storms today with highs in the upper 80s. Cloudy tonight with overnight lows in the mid-70s. More afternoon storms tomorrow with highs in the lower 90s. I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines.
This is The Scoop, recorded at WMNF Tampa.